It's Monday. I'm back. I'm back. Okay. I'm painting miniatures, looking at stuff, doing stuff, typical things. Stuff. Getting ready to test something. Some shading. You see here. Boom. Okay. So it's going to take a little while before anybody figures out that I'm actually streaming. And I am going to try out throwing. There you are. Hello, brother. Brother. Avenge me, brother. How are you doing, my brethren? I'm going to try out a wash on some of these figures that I've already block painted in and see if that's a good enough or needs some more situation. I'm hoping it's a good enough situation so that I don't have to do any more, because I'm lazy and I just want them to look good. Man, it didn't feel good the other day. So instead of being a role playing night, it become a board game night. And the wife, got to play bunches of board games, which she likes. So, I didn't feel too terrible about it since, yeah, it sucked because everybody, I'm sure, was wanting to play Hyperborea, but, people came over and played Pandemic and Agricola, or I'm not sure how that's even pronounced, whether it's Agricola or Agricola. I'll be honest, I don't even know how to pronounce that, but anyway, that's become my wife and my favorite game, really. For the longest time, it was Splendor, but we've been playing a lot of the freaking. I just might as well call it the farm game because that's what it is. Agricola is a farm game, and it's a good game. I say how I judge it as a good game is when it ends, you still wish there were more turns, you know, and not in this sense of wargaming when like you lose a battle. You're like, damn, if only I had one or two more turns to do something. But in the sense, I'm always just like, oh man. But I guess I could just add more turns and say, okay, but the problem with that is the game was designed away, so you might as well just play it the way it was designed. We did add house rules for Splendor, but oh, okay. Hold on. Don't go away yet. Damn it. I missed it.
Hey,
How you doing?
good.
Good.
How's it going?
It's going okay. It's storming down here off and on, so
It's doing that now here too.
yeah,
We had a really bad thunderstorm last night. I didn't get much
same.
sleep.
Oh, so now he's going to join since you joined. He's like, oh shit, I better join.
No, I didn't hear you say shit. I was having a hard time.
I didn't say anything.
And I ain't even home.
You never home these days. You just out prowling the streets.
Check this out.
It's a hat and glasses. Okay, now I can
Really?
see.
It's been snowing.
Dude, you said check this out, and it was a close up of your face.
Yeah, he froze up on that. His cameras.
Yeah,
It's not great right now.
he's got that wonderful Appalachian freaking internet going.
Phone
Yeah.
internet.
It's been snowing. Has it been snowing up there when she left?
You're like, check this out. And it's just your face.
Yeah, there's a little bit. It's been snowing a little bit, not much yet.
Oh, it was
A little
coming down
snow
hard.
too, huh?
Yeah.
That's what she said. So, anyway, did you see the thing that Cold Skillet did? It's Saxius.
Yeah, that one.
That one's pretty good, actually.
Yeah, that one was.
Which
Yeah.
one? Which one?
It's Saxius, but for his Warhammer 40K game.
Yep.
Oh, did you
Rogue
see the
Trader
one?
Saxius Maximus.
Did you see the one Cold Iron Skillet sent me as a freaking Imperial Guardsman on a like?
Oh, well, that was quick, wasn't it?
It's phone internet here. You probably
That's
have a
what
lot of
she said.
connections.
So you're an Imperial Guardsman?
Yeah, shooting a Vulcan cannon at a Titan with a big grin on my face.
Huh.
I said it
Yeah,
to
and
you.
then there's one of Shadow and I with Viking helmets on running out of a pub with Guinness.
Yeah.
And at the bottom it just says, because fuck you, that's why.
Well, I gotta go because I gotta get out of Greg's car and get into my Jeep and drive Corn Dog to the store.
To drive to where?
I gotta drive Corn Dog to the grocery store.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Talk to you later.
See you,
Love
man.
you.
Love you.
You glad you're feeling better?
Yeah.
Yeah. Bye.
Bye. Yeah, that does seem to be the answer to a lot of the memes lately. Fuck you, that's why.
Why not?
Right? It's like, it's always Shadow and I doing something horrible to someone. And then it just says, because fuck you, that's why.
Hey, James, you played a White Wolf game before. Is it better to min-max or diversify your character?
Oh my goodness. I am of the opinion that it's better to kind of be pretty good at everything.
Okay.
But at the same time, there are always going to be a couple skills you really want to focus on. And that is determined by like what your character even does. So like let's say I'm playing my Bruja, right? Obviously, because I have potence and celerity, I'm gonna take a shit ton of brawl and for skills, brawl and what's the one for celerity? Like athletics or whatever. But I also like to have at least 1 or 2 points in like if it's under an attribute that's one of my higher attributes, I like to have a couple points in it. So that for a lot of things I can at least roll like 4 dice, maybe 3 or 4. And then one thing is as your character levels up, one of the cheapest things to advance is skills, really.
Yeah.
I mean, you can raise skills a lot quicker than you can raise like
attributes,
a discipline or something, or an attribute. So,
more experience per dot on an attribute.
Right. So I mean, sometimes that extra die you're going to get to roll because you raise the skill can really matter a lot. But, it depends. I mean, in the later books, like in the 5e books, you pick like whether you want your character to be like a specialist at something, a jack of all trades at something, or custom. And then that, that's an easy way to just figure out how you're going to start out.
I
So if you
almost
choose
want
to
to.
be a specialist, you get a skill at like level 4, but you don't get as many skills at level like 2 and 1.
Hmm.
And if you go as a jack of all trades, it's the opposite. You don't get the level 4 skill, but you get more. So it just depends, man. I like the jack of all trades thing.
Fair. I've been thinking about just min-maxing my swordsmanship as much as possible. Just
Well,
because it'd be ridiculous.
if you min max your swordsmanship, it will make your character, really, really good at that.
I'd be rolling at max like 17d10.
Yeah, I think the max you can roll is 10.
It's 10. 10 is like 5 for the for strength, 5 for the weaponry,
Oh, okay.
and
So,
then for my specialization would be with the swords. That gives me another 1. Then I have like an expertise area of expertise, which gives me another 1.
right.
Then I could use a willpower and then all out attack up to the 17.
The only downside to that is, one, you would be completely awesome with a sword, but you'd be a pretty one-dimensional character,
Yeah.
Like, if any other thing happened, pretty much you would be like,
I mean, there's a few other things I can do because of how character creation went.
right.
I could still. I got a pretty good social skills. I got a little bit in crafting, so I can do a little bit of crafting.
Well, it depends on your DM too. When I was actually playing Vampire, most of the adventures that the DM ran were very much investigative, I guess you would say. Like we were
My character would
running
be good at
around
that.
trying to figure shit out, find out who did what to who and why and where and all that. And that was just kind of, so if you made the character and you didn't have some of those skills,
My big
then
thing would.
automatically you're either you're just not really very helpful to the rest of the group. Hey George, how you doing?
I'd make myself useful in the sense that you know what I'd do if I was in your group and I had to deal with that. I'd just be like, I'll tag along with you and basically be
Get
your bodyguard.
get murdered. Oh yeah. Yeah, because the way our storyteller did it is if there were multiple people in a group, right? And let's say he called for a check on some skill, only the person with the highest level skill rolled.
Yeah.
He didn't let just everyone roll, just the one guy rolled. But I
That's
mean,
fair.
there was a rule where for some tests you could like help and it would give like a um it'd give like bonus dice to the guy who was rolling, but and I mean that's cool. That's cool. It's what it is. But I over the years have really I lean towards a more general character, a more jack of all trades kind of guy.
That's fair.
I mean,
I,
while still being good at the disciplines that actually define the clan I'm in.
yeah. I might do the
We are vampires.
diversification.
We don't put down towels. Right?
One other thing that's
But
really
you're
good about
not
my
playing actual vampire. You're just
yeah
playing that system.
that
So,
system. So it's not
it's different.
vampires. I got a good chance of fight. Like if I get into a fight with somebody, I got a good chance of winning already.
Right. And that's what
Not
I was going to say. I mean, even if you choose to be a more generalist character, which you already haven't, you still want to be good at the thing you're supposed to be good at.
Yep.
It's kind of like I remember when Max did the thing about playing characters that are out of type. And it's like, okay, yeah, okay. You can make a Bruja character, right? And it's not Bruja, and everyone who says it is Bruja is wrong. It's Bruja. But if you make the Bruja character and then you decide that you're like going to take all your disciplines like out of clan, Ausfix and shit like that, and then you're going to suck at fighting, your character is not going to be that fun. It's definitely not going to be as fun as you thought it was when you made up that weird idea, because hell, the rest of the members of your clan are going to look at you like you're a maniac. The only way to get around that would be like a Bruja that just went heavy into presence. You know what I mean?
You're just like the intimidating guy. You just sit there and try to intimidate everybody out of fighting you.
Yeah, or you can make everyone love you.
Or love you, yeah, fair enough.
And if you wanted to get crazy with it, you play European Bruja, and the European Bruja give up presence for dominate. So you could basically just play an anarchist freaking Ventru. But nah, that's really a game where you kind of want to go with. There's a reason clans exist, is basically all I'm saying. And if you want to ignore the clan, you'd be better off just being a freaking
clanless.
Yeah, being clanless. I mean, now that is my opinion, and that doesn't mean it's necessarily 100% right, but
I mean, I like the idea to be like that Bruja that people look at and like are afraid of, and all you can really do is just scare people.
Well, the thing with presence,
kind of a goofy target, goofy thing to do.
The last game we played went for 2 years, and I actually ignored celerity for a while and just went presence heavy, especially right off the bat. I started the game with more, like 2 or 3 dots in presence. I think 2. Once you hit like 5 dots in presence and you have the ability to turn majesty on, and that makes people have to actually make willpower checks or whatever to even want to attack you. That's a pretty damn good ability, because I mean the fact that you make people expend resources to even try to attack you.
Yeah.
And everyone around you likes you, and stuff like that. That's pretty good. And then later on, I eventually hit mastery and celerity, at which point it's like, unless the person I was engaging with also mastered celerity, there was just no way I was ever dying, because the second I thought this is looking bad, I could always just do a rouse check, fleetness gone. I guess if a guy was really playing a character right and they had a high level of potence, they could have tried to grab me before I could get away, you know what I mean? And if they could have grabbed me and beat me at a strength test, then yeah, I'd had to just stay there and take the beating. That would have sucked. But
kind of what I'm kind of doing as my secondary fighter thing with the whole grappling.
I mean, sometimes,
Not to mention, with my profession, any of my professional skills, since I got professional training, I get to reroll 9s.
You like gloves and your channel's about gloves? Well, I will check it out. Sam Gloves.
That's weird.
I have surgical gloves. I keep a big bag of them, or box of them, the blue ones.
Huh.
Well, when I used to 3D print a lot, you know what I mean?
Those would be probably useful. Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, you don't want that resin getting anywhere on you. And a lot of people, when they're painting, which I don't, and I probably should, but if you look at like Squidmire or those guys, when they're painting, they wear the blue neoprene gloves or whatever they're made out of.
Are they better than like the gloves that the doctors would use at the,
They're the same.
Oh, they're the same? Okay.
Yeah, those blue gloves you can buy at like Walmart are the exact same gloves as they issued to us when I was in the fire department.
Okay.
Same gloves.
Just different color.
You just basically want to make sure you got the right size. So like in the back of one of our rescues, we would have every size of glove in a rack, and you could just reach up and pull the glove out. So,
Yeah, I
but
do
yeah.
find it really good in the White Wolf campaign though to be able to also reroll 9s. That does come in handy quite a bit.
Mm-hmm.
Especially when you roll a lot of dice. I like did a test roll on what I currently can do. And out of the 14d10 of this test roll,
Which version of White Wolf are you playing?
it was Chronicles of Darkness.
Yeah, I don't know what version that is.
I don't know. It's a version. I can't remember what kind it was. I just remember it being called Chronicles of Darkness. It has the Hurt Locker expansion.
It had the what?
Hurt Locker expansion.
Huh.
It's like a
I
more
don't know.
combat heavy expansion where it talks about weaponry and stuff that you can get.
Yeah, I don't know which one that is. I'll have to think about it or look into it or something.
Let me see here, because I bet if I look it up, I could easily find it.
Yeah, because we went from like 2nd edition to 5th edition.
It seems like it's in the New World of Darkness.
Okay.
setting
So,
type of stuff.
yeah, Skillet posted a thing about Camden, Georgia. I've been to Camden. That place does suck. He's not wrong.
So it says that the setting's very vague and flexible. Probably why DM uses it.
Well, I wasn't so much caring about the setting as I was like, is it using like 2nd edition rules? Is it using rules from like Requiem? Is it using 5th edition rules? That's what I was wondering about, because
It does say that it is the Requiem type of rules, I guess you could say.
okay, so there you go. So I ordered this miniature like 6 months ago. It just showed up.
Well, hey, at least it showed up, I guess.
That's true. This is just the base. So I'm getting ready to sit down here and build it. My wife made a kind of lasagna, but it was instead of pasta, it was freaking zucchini.
Oh, that's interesting. Sounds
Like
good,
sliced
though. I'd probably
zucchini.
like it.
It was pretty good.
Yeah, that sounds pretty good. I'd like that.
Yeah.
I've been wanting lasagna where you haven't gotten that in a while.
Right.
It's a lot of work. That's why, though.
It can be. Okay, this is definitely an arm.
I mean, I really wish we could have baked spaghetti again.
Gotta have spaghetti before you can have baked spaghetti. Not really, but that's what we always did. Growing up, my mom would cook a ton of spaghetti because it's cheap when I was, say, in my 13 or 14. And then whatever didn't get ate, she would actually bake it with like cheddar cheese or something. So it was like weird, you know, but it was good. All right, here's his body. Look at that.
That's an interesting thing.
It is a Demogorgon, and not from that lame ass Disney TV show.
That's fair. I
But
don't watch Disney anymore.
from the actual monster manual, 1st edition.
Oh, yeah.
Demogorgon.
Back when I rolled that 14d10, I rolled an 8.
14d10, and you got 8 successes.
Yes.
So unless the guy rolls really good on his soak, he's probably dead.
He's probably dead.
Yeah. Because you're not playing like immortal creatures with like fortitude or anything. So
No, you might have some soaking of the damage through armor, but if anything, that's still going to hurt.
well, I mean, there's only so much you can soak. That's the thing, you know. I mean,
Like
if you had Fortitude, then you could be all like, you know what? Since this is not like ag damage, I think I'll just ignore most of it. But
It would be considered lethal damage because it's a sword.
yeah, but see, lethal is not the same as aggravated. You know that,
That's
right?
fair. Yeah.
So that's what I'm telling you. If you had
What
a
is
guy with like a high level of fortitude, he could pretty much just dust off
all that?
lethal and non-lethal damage like it's nothing, you know.
I don't think that would matter because you can't have really fortitude in our game because isn't that like
Yeah,
a
that's what I'm
vampire
saying.
ability?
You're not dealing with vampires. They don't have fortitude.
Yeah.
But if you were fighting a gangrel or a freaking Ventrue or something with a lot of fortitude, you'd run up and hit them with that sword and they'd smack the shit out of them.
Yeah.
Like you would cut a big hole in them and you'd just see it close. And then it'd be like, yeah, you're done. But that's the deal when you're playing Immortal, man.
Yep.
You got to deal. I mean, I've got
Also,
the
sword.
Hunter rule book, but no one wants to play that. You know, because
That's funny because in one of our big campaigns that we were gonna have set in the World of Darkness, we
Right.
had like we a lot of people wanted to play a lot of different things, so we had like hunters, sorcerers, vampires, and werewolves in the same group.
yeah, the only one I really despise from White Wolf that I would never allow in an actual game are mages.
Mages, that's kind of fair, I guess. I don't know. Actually, I'd probably say changelings. They're kind of weird.
No one ever wants to play changelings, but they are
That's fair.
annoying, you know. Having a player at the table sing like a bar from a Beatles song to activate their power,
Man,
yeah,
no
that's
thanks.
pretty freaking lame. It's like, why? You
Yeah,
know,
changeling seems to be
why did you do this?
the black sheep of the family. Everything
Because
else is trying to be really like grimdark, and then there's the changeling.
that's kind of the thing, right? Everyone else is doing its thing, and the other problem is that, well, it's not a problem. It's just the way it is. I mean, changeling, just the game itself, you know, may or may not actually take place in the normal world anyway.
Yeah.
You know, it can take place in the fairy world too. So that gets confusing. And yeah, but mage is the worst because
Just
if,
how
if,
powerful
if
they
you're
are.
gaming with power gamers, then you can always tell power gamers if somebody says you can play whatever you want in White Wolf. If they say mage, they're power gaming pieces of shit.
If I'd say that's especially bad if the DM doesn't know how to deal with the mage magic. It's like that. Yeah. If the
Yeah.
mages aren't having
If
their
you've got a
paradox
DM
stuff,
that's
it's
not willing to really enforce paradox, then forget about it.
yeah, they're just basically gods amongst the players.
Yeah, the mage is going to turn the vampire's blood into liquid starlight. And he's going to turn the werewolf into a puppy. I mean, it's just going to be weird ass shit all day, every day. Like, he might take entropy and just cause everybody to age 200 years right off the bat. Just kill everybody. But then again, as you can tell by my story, that I've played these games with a lot of assholes.
That's fair. I'd
'Cause
like to play.
That's basically what I'm saying is,
I'd like to
you
think
know,
I'd like to play mage, but I'd only want to play it if it was like heavily enforced, like paradox and stuff like that. I don't think I'd like the power gaming of it if it was like that.
the main problem with Mage is that they left everything so wide open. You know what I mean?
I mean, that's kind of fair.
Like with the spheres, and then how you can combine the spheres to do things. Whereas every other White Wolf game is heavily
Structured,
defined.
and structured. You can't
Yeah,
really
if you're a vampire and you have disciplines, it tells you exactly
what you can do
what the
with.
discipline does.
Yep.
And I've had players at the table who were very smart, and they used powers that in ways that were like pretty what would I
Unique or
say,
interesting?
imaginative. Yeah, there's like a celerity power, I think it is, that you could get, and it makes your character weightless. So, during one game, the character with that power, he just cranked it up and jumped off a building and floated
Floated away.
with the wind. Now, of course, if someone saw him or took a picture or something,
What is this? My Hero Academia?
right, and then of course you'd have to fake it's the Mothman. Oh no, but otherwise Breach of the Masquerade. But yeah, there are some powers that can really, if you're imaginative, you can actually use them in interesting ways. But it's not like Mage where they just give you free run to just
Do
do
whatever.
whatever the hell you want. I'm going to combine entropy and sun and life and blah blah blah, and plus I have this ultra rare Yu-Gi-Oh card, and so now I'm just like, get out of here. What's next? You're going to challenge me to a freaking
Children's card game.
No, I was thinking more of that thing where you spin tops in a cage.
Oh, you're talking about I think it was Bakugan.
I forget what it was, but like you had the two cages and you had your spinner and you zipped them into the thing, and whoever knocked the other spinner out won.
I know what you're talking about.
They're just tops,
Yeah.
but apparently it was a big deal in Japan.
Anime, man. It was an anime. They had
Yeah,
that.
they made an anime about it. And then Yu-Gi-Oh! I remember they had an anime where the dude would like pull out of, and he'd have like his deck.
Yu-Gi-Oh! I used to be big into Yu-Gi-Oh! It was weird though, especially season 0. Season 0 was like dark weird, while the rest of it was more normal weird. Like Yu-Gi in the old season 0 was just like murdering people for funsies.
What? Damn.
Yeah, he would go dark with it too. He burned the guy alive in a game. It was just like messed up.
They must have had to switch some stuff around for localization.
No, that was the session. I think season 0 was like that even in America. It's just that it wasn't really shown or something. But did they bring that over here or not? I can't remember. I don't think they localized it exactly.
The other night I was watching some anime. I watched Goblin Slayer Abridged.
That's a good one. I've been watching season 2 to Frieren. It's getting pretty good.
Right.
Frieren's about to kill some more demons.
That's what she does.
She does well.
Don't listen to them. They only talk. Everything that comes out of their mouth is a lie or some shit.
Yes.
I was like, damn, Frieren, you are pretty hardcore there, chick.
I like the
Yeah,
Grimjack
I've got
parody.
a Frieren and I've got a Violet, or not Violet, Fern miniature.
Yeah.
I have
think
them
you
in
like
twin
calling her
weight
Violet because her hair and eye color is purple.
Right, like she wears purple, her hair's purple, her eye
She
color's
doesn't wear purple. Her
What
garb
does she
is
wear?
black and white.
Is it?
Yeah, it's a black jacket over a white dress, like
Well, I'll
really
have to
big white
double
dress.
check that then before,
Painting her.
Yeah. I was just going to paint her mostly purple.
Well, you can if you want. Her staff had purple on it too.
Yeah, like a purple gemstone or something on it. Or
No,
whatever.
it didn't really have a purple gemstone, did it? Or was it hanging? I think there might have been a purple gemstone hanging on the sash thing that she has around her.
Let's be honest, I don't remember.
I'm trying to remember that now.
Yeah, I really don't remember. I wish I did.
I kind of like the Grimjack parody of Frieren. It's like, I like doing demons dirty, especially in front of their mothers.
Yeah.
Uh,
For what's his name? Himmel the hero. Look at me, Fern.
it's like Fern,
Whoa.
Fern. They're not Fern, Freerin.
Freerin, yeah. He was just
Frieren.
like always trying to get Freerin to look at him.
We did this big thing. Really? I don't remember that. It was just a short trip. We just did 10 years of our life. We killed the demon lord. And it's like, yeah. Like I said, we just went somewhere and killed a guy.
Yeah, he's all like,
I call that my treasured present from my best friend. But yeah, just keep crapping on everything I own, please.
yeah. Yeah. Just crap on everything. Yeah.
You crap on it and then you want it back. You're the worst gift giver ever. You're the worst gift giver in human history. I think I predate human history. It's like,
yeah, she's something. She's definitely something. I think I predate human history. She probably does.
She's over 1,000 years old.
Yeah, so
one of her masters was literally the first one of like the earliest human mages in the history.
Are you talking about the red-haired woman?
Flamma.
Yeah.
Who was trained by Zetia, who's even older than Freerin.
Right. So
Zetia's probably in the weirdest moment of her life too, because one of the humans that she made a first-class mage and her apprentice wants to pat her head all the time.
the head is not for patting.
Well, she allows it. I don't know.
Who was it? The priest always patted her head too, and she'd always be like, "My head is not for patting." I forget who it was that was on here that had watched Freerin, and they're like, they didn't like it.
Wow.
I was like, how do you not like that? That's just such a
great show. It's like the most
show. It's like
wholesome D&D show ever.
Kinda, yeah, I mean, if you overlook the fact that the priest tricked Freerin into hang out with him for like years just so she'd be forced to take Fern with her.
It's like she could be very old. I mean, what? She's in her 50s? Actually, she's 106.
Yeah.
Like, really? Yes.
Yeah.
It's like, oh man, because of that joke, Grimjack went back to the birthday present. It's like, here, I got you this so that's why you were hanging around with a bunch of these weirdos. And it's like, yeah, well, you're only 106 once, or 106 once, and it's like, Miss Freerin, I'm 16. You're what? Yeah.
Well, that's also in the Goblin Slayer bridge when they're all hanging out. And Priest is like, I'm 15. And Goblin Slayer's like, what?
It's like, you're 15. What the fuck?
Yeah.
I love that joke.
Yeah, that's a running gag too. And then the other running gag, because I watched one of the movies the other day, is the Sword Maiden constantly trying to talk Goblin Slayer into like living with her or some shit.
Yeah.
And he's gone off about, she says there's goblins in her mind.
After I'm done killing all the goblins around the world, I'll come back here and slay all the goblins in your dreams.
Yeah. I love how they do the thing where they never show his face, but it's all by reaction.
Yeah.
Everybody's just staring at him like he's so beautiful. The guild girl wants to date him. The last show I saw, which is one of the newer ones, guild girl goes up to cowgirl and is trying to ask her about where's Goblin Slayer, and cowgirl's like, why? And she's like, well, because I want to go on a date with him or some shit. And they're like hating each other. You know, it was pretty funny. Poor Guild Girl. It's not even time for your 15-minute screaming session. Like in the normal cartoon, she just wasn't that cool. But in the
in the
abridged
parodies,
cartoon, she's
I
one of
don't
the
know.
coolest characters, man.
Abridged parodies always makes like some of the characters way funnier and better. Like I
Yeah.
don't know, these people who do these shows, they're pretty good at making good jokes.
Yeah, and then Priestess wants to hang out around Guild Girl to learn how to be sassy.
Yeah.
And it's just like, whatever. You know, one of my favorite characters in the show actually is the table.
The table. Yeah, you know what's funny about that?
What?
You know what the most popular character in Frieren is? It's the guild receptionist. Yeah.
Yeah, I saw the one where like they were having a big party in the guild hall, and
Yeah.
Priestess snuck out, and she was sneaking up on where Goblin Slayer was, and he's like, I thought you'd make it, and she stepped out, and he's like, oh, it's you, and she's like, who'd you expect? And he's like, I was waiting for the table.
Waiting for the table.
What? Like, why are you so crazy, Goblin Slayer? Well, you know. So this is what adventuring looks like: a smelly, homeless schizophrenic.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah.
And
And then when she looks over at Priestess, she's sleeping and like mumbling crazy shit in her sleep too. Just I was like, yep, that's it. They are not right.
I believe you, Mr. Ogre.
Yeah. Well, fuck you then. And then yeah, that's pretty good. Eat her flesh. No, don't eat her flesh.
But yeah, it seems like a lot of the Frieren fans are a bunch of trolls who like just messing with the creators, because every like minor character that even doesn't even have a name is like the top of the popularity poll. Like mimics have beat out like people like Fern, Stark, even Himmel.
Well, the weird thing about the mimics is that Frieren's thousands of years old, and she keeps getting caught by him.
Yeah.
And it's like she just has never learned. She just keeps walking into him.
Like it's always that 1%, which gets you the big discovery.
Right. She can't pass a chess no matter what. And then she ends up getting ate by a mimic.
Yeah.
And like at the end of a lot of the episodes, you just see her legs sticking out of the mimic, trying to get away from it because the mimic's trying to eat her.
It's like Simpsons, just like they're like, this is like one of the most powerful mages in the world. It's like, what is this?
Right. And yet her weakness is mimics.
It's like there wasn't actually like a little joke comic meme made of that. It was like, Sis asked, why didn't you just summon a mimic to fight the fake Frieren? And she's like, you know why we didn't do that. And it showed like an image of both the fake Frieren and Frieren both in the same mimic.
Yeah. I hate to say I told you so. All right. I saw something today on YouTube that I never thought was possible to see.
What's that?
The Gorillas doing Clint Eastwood live.
Oh, neat.
Like the musicians.
Yeah, not the cartoon characters.
Not the cartoon characters. And I didn't even think they did that. I thought that was the
I
whole
didn't know either.
gimmick, was that you never got to see. I mean, I know who the singer is. He's the old lead singer from Blur. But still.
Yeah, you thought that just never happened. I get that. That's interesting.
Yeah, I was like, that's never going to happen. And then I saw it. And my wife was even walking by, and she saw it too. And she's like, is that them? I was like, yeah. I was like, huh.
Did they look anything like the cartoons, or?
No,
No, fair enough.
no. I mean, okay, the drummer's a black guy.
Yeah, fair.
So the guy who's the drummer and Russell, they're black guys. The lead singer's like a really old, English guy. The guitarist is not a Japanese girl, and the bass player is a brother. He is not some weird kind of wearing a lot, Yahtzee memorabilia guy, Murdoch, who's supposed to be the evil one of the bunch. That's kind of supposed to be his whole gig, is that Murdoch's just like evil and shit. But nope, in real life, Murdoch is a black dude.
You know what, James? I seen the footage of Iran shooting down a B-2 bomber.
Yeah, that was cool. They're all posed around it.
No, the funny thing is, what it was actually footage from a video game called War Thunder, and it wasn't the B-2, it was the F-117 that they showed.
Yeah, and even then they got the scale so wrong it was laughable.
Yeah.
It's weird. It's like not that, whatever, but it's like at this point, this is like Mike Tyson just beating up a kid in a wheelchair.
Yeah.
Except the kid in the wheelchair likes to get on TV and talk shit.
Yeah.
And then all the weirdos who get on and try to argue about, this, that, and the other. And it's like, do you people even understand how evil of a regime they are? They don't, obviously, but
Or they don't care.
or they don't care. They're just like, whatever the orange man does, we have to say it's bad. Even if it's good, we have to say it's bad.
You know what, James? These are the same people who took like footage of that that Kentucky gun range and tried to pass it off as Syria footage, war footage.
I remember that.
Yeah.
But I'm not even talking about the media. I'm talking about like if you're a feminist
Individuals,
and
too.
you're rooting for Iran, it's like, what's wrong with you?
A
Like
lot.
the first guy we killed, he's best known for passing a law that if a woman gets found guilty of a capital offense, she has to be sexually assaulted before you hang her so that she can't go to heaven. Now, how vindictive of a dick do you have to be to want to execute a chick for not wearing her hair covering in public, but you also want to try to make sure she can't go to heaven too? That's like above and beyond. I mean, at least when we execute somebody, if they've converted and turned their life around and really repented, we don't try to make it where they can't go to heaven, That's just, yeah, they're an evil regime, and you've got people in America rooting for them. And it's just like, it's weird, man. We live in a weird world, man. That's all
I think we need to make new laws that allows us to denaturalize a lot of these people and deport them.
That's what Asmongold's been saying. The laws are on the books, actually. In the 1920s era, there were a lot of attacks where like government officials were attempted assassination by communist cells in the United States, right? And I think it was under Hoover, but I'm not sure. I think it was Hoover. They actually found a way to denaturalize an American citizen and deport her ass back to Germany, even though she wasn't from Germany. You know what I mean? But they deported her ass back to the Weimar Republic, though. So, I mean, it can be done. It's just a matter of course, back then you probably didn't have as many activist judges that think they can actually.
Yeah, there's so many of those you can't do it. Well, probably without a new law now. Even then,
Well,
it'll probably still be a.
Thomas Jefferson's worry about totalitarianism and the fall of our republic was about judges.
Yeah.
Because he said if we ever get to a point to where, you know, judges and people in the legal system can override the government, then that'll, you know, since they're not elected, generally speaking, but they can override elected officials. You know what I mean? That
Yeah.
causes it causes a problem. You know?
It's just at this point, I'd be like, I wish we could have another Andrew Jackson.
Yeah. For a
Just
lot
have,
of the bad stuff he did some good stuff too.
just have somebody who's just willing to go, yeah, why don't you try enforcing that? You're not going to.
Yeah, that's what he told the judges. What
Yeah,
he's
he's
like, well,
basically
you
like,
made your decision. Now let's see you enforce it, sir.
yeah.
Which means that Andrew Jackson technically was a straight up dictator. But that is the argument that we keep falling into throughout all of history. There's one major political debate, really. And that's the debate between, are we better off under this kind of government, or are we better off under a dictator? And that's why so many times, I mean, we're talking before the Greeks even, you hear these arguments that, you know, the benign dictator, the this dictator, the that dictator. I mean, there many of the Greek philosophers were totally against the idea of democracy and 100% behind the idea of a dictator. So, you know, and then even Rome after 700 years or so become a dictatorship. So, you know, and I think the main reason is when you have a government where everyone gets a say, it's good because everyone gets a say, but then it's bad because it makes the government very slow to do anything. You know what I mean? Because before you can do anything, you have to have everyone have a say on it. Under a dictatorship, you need one man to say, do this. So in that case, you end up with a much more agile government, but it can also turn really terrible. And when I say dictator, I mean a monarchy as well. Because a monarchy, unless it has a checks and balances, would also be a dictatorship, you know? Just it'd be called something different, but so yeah. That is the debate. Give everybody rights and then run into a situation like we're currently facing, or take everyone's rights basically away, install dictatorship, and then possibly run into an even different, worse problem. You know. Yeah, talk about this has pissed somebody off. That you know, the viewer count's like, we don't like this. I don't care. But yeah, there's a lot of people in America that it's like no matter what Trump were to do or say, they're always going to be against it, no matter how stupid they are. And I was actually watching Asmongold do a react because he does those shorts where he reacts.
Oh yeah, I seen one.
And it was the one guy that always tries to help people out with their finances. What's his damn name? He's generally a really nice guy, but he'll have people come in and sit down with him, and then they'll go over like why they're in debt and how they cannot be in debt, right?
I think I know who you're talking about. I can't remember his name.
Yeah, he's kind of a chubby, dark-haired kid with glasses.
Yeah.
And he had this newly converted from Catholicism Muslim woman and her husband on there, and they were just saying shit, and he was just looking at him like what? They're like, yeah, actually Islam is the most feminist religion of them all. And he's looking at her like, are you out of your mind? And she's like, well, all that stuff you see on TV, that's just what they show you here. It's not how it actually is. And he's like, what? And then he went on with, they hang women for not wearing a hijab in public in Iran, right? And she's like trying to argue with him about it. And he's just like, and then they start doing this, weird mental gymnastics trying to explain shit and how they live by Muslim principles and shit. And he looks at the dude and he's like, "So are you in debt?" And the dude's like, "Yeah, we're really, really in debt." He said, "Isn't not being in debt a Muslim principle?" And the dude just looks at him, because according to their things, they're not supposed to ever be in debt. So, but yeah, listening to like a Western woman arguing that, oh, it's not so bad in Iran. Come on. And it's like, they hang people there for just not wearing a headscarf. That's what you mean it's not bad. But the real test about the war is going to be if we run out of bombs before they run out of supreme leaders. And so far, I put the money on us having more than they do.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
we're not gonna
what
run out of
supreme leader
bombs.
are they on now?
I don't know, like 4 or 5. Basically,
sure-
their whole government's been killed 3 times. It's like, and then they appoint new people. And
I'm
it's
pretty sure
like,
one of them was already dead before they were even supreme leader.
yeah, they appointed the dude and found out he was dead. And it's like, well, I guess that guy can't be supreme leader because, he's dead. And it's like, people will say you should never be happy about the death of someone, but the Ayatollahs and stuff, I think it's okay. It's okay. When they get whacked, it's probably okay to be like, yeah, he deserves it. He can burn in hell. That's the only sad thing that, they're trying to prevent people in Iran from converting to Christianity because the Iranians know that Islam is a bunch of shit.
They
But-
never liked it in the first place. Iranians or Persians, they seen
Yeah,
the
it was
religion as
a
foreign
religion
one.
that was forced on them.
Yeah.
But, and now like that crazy shit that went on with the giant like synagogue / school. And of course it was like a mile from Dearborn, Michigan, which is a city in the United States. It's like 90% Muslim. Like right down to their entire city council, their freaking police department, all of it. And so, and people are trying to make hay because someone said that, you can't say every Muslim is away. And it's like, well, can I say every Satanist is away? Because the same people who defend them, they're the ones that say, every white person's away. It's okay to write a book called White Fragility, but what? We can't write a book about Islamic fragility? And Japan is dealing with them, though, because the Muslims were complaining over and over again and like protesting outside of restaurants saying there were no halal options when there were. So then the Japanese government realized it had nothing to do with the food. It has to do with enforcing your will upon
The
the other
populace.
people.
Yep. Hey,
And
now,
the same thing happens in America too. It's like
yeah,
in New York, they practically shut down Times Square to pray. And it's like, take your asses to wherever and do that. Why are you?
and
But the reason they're doing it is because part of Islam, they have a very what they call triumphalism built into the thing. So they do it in the street in your face to let you know they own you.
They don't do that shit in Japan.
Well, they were trying.
they
and
tried,
then
and it didn't work.
The Japanese government is basically like putting them out.
Same with the cemeteries. They're like, we want to build Muslim cemeteries. Like, you want to get buried Muslim way? Go back to your country and do it.
Yeah, apparently in Japan, they consider burying like a dead body in the ground and letting it decompose to be like basically pollution.
Mm-hmm.
They're not. Whereas in Islam, a body's supposed to be buried, no chemicals or anything, within a certain amount of days of them dying. You know, it's supposed to be wrapped in like linen and dropped in the ground, you know, immediately. So
Japan's like, get the fuck out of here with that shit.
yeah, it's well, because the thing is, you're talking about a battle of two religions in Japan, and the thing is, the Japanese, most of them are Shinto, and even the ones who don't actually believe in the thousand kami and all that sort of thing, they still celebrate all the Shinto holidays and traditions, blah blah blah. You see what I mean?
Yeah. Although they
So
do have
effectively, culturally, they are Shinto.
they do have Orthodox and Catholic presence over there.
Yeah,
Minor
very,
ones, but-
very, very small.
Yep.
Because in Japan, even if you're an atheist, you still kind of still go along with all the Shinto stuff. It's like in America, how you might have a Christian family, and there might be people in the Christian family that don't actually believe any of it, but they still show up for Christmas dinner. And they're still going to show up to let the kids hunt Easter eggs. You know what I'm saying? Because at a point, it stopped being a religion and started being a culture. And that's the thing that the Muslims will definitely have a hard time with in Japan, is that Shintoism is the culture. Even the Christians over there still celebrate some of the Shinto festivals because
KFC put a fast one on Japan.
Huh?
KFC put a fast one on the Japanese people.
How'd they do that?
They convinced the Japanese people that Americans eat fried chicken on Christmas, so it's become a cultural thing that everybody has KFC on Christmas.
Yeah.
You know,
Like-
though, think about it, though. I mean, the Japanese aren't known for their huge apartments with massive ovens. How in the fuck are they going to cook a turkey?
They're not.
You're
Right.
not
really
gonna-
good.
So, in a way, the fact that dad can swing by the freaking place and grab a bucket of chicken on the way home, that's
Well,
perfect, actually.
James, that's actually kind of not true. You have to book in advance, 6 months in advance to get that chicken.
The point is, though, is if you do whatever you got to do to book for that chicken,
Yeah,
you
can
just got to
pick it
get
up
the
and-
chicken.
Yeah.
You don't have to like wreck the whole house making an actual, you know, what we consider to be a culturally
I get it,
appropriate
but the
Thanksgiving
funny
dinner.
thing is that I find it hilarious that you have to actually book in advance to get that chicken on Christmas.
That tells me that the Japanese need to look into making some more KFCs.
Yeah.
That's what that tells me. Obviously, they need a couple more KFCs. You know, maybe a couple that only open during the holiday season and do nothing but dump chicken in the oil all day. Just
Yeah. Yeah.
everybody's getting chicken, baby. You know, but
Getting grapes.
You know, after the KFC closed, they could just turn it into a Spirit Halloween.
well, here's the thing, too. It's like my wife and I've talked about this, and I've said this multiple times. I would much rather have a nice fat chicken for Thanksgiving than a turkey.
See, I'm a
I don't
turkey.
know, I like a turkey. I like turkey too. I mean, good old
See,
big old turkey leg.
you know how I like turkey? Thin sliced with ham and bacon and mayonnaise and tomato on a sandwich.
I mean, that sounds pretty good too.
Yeah, it's called a club sandwich.
Mhm.
That's how I like turkey. That's about it. Or maybe turkey soup. You know, I might eat a turkey pot pie, but I mean,
Just give me a big
I
old
love
turkey
turkey.
leg for a holiday.
some people love
Yeah.
turkey. I'd rather eat a chicken. And there is a difference. That's the thing.
Yeah, there is
there's
definitely a
totally
difference.
a
Oh,
difference.
yeah. For
And
me, I always have chicken, so I'd rather have the turkey sometimes.
maybe that's what it is, because turkey feels special.
Yeah.
But yeah, as far as I care about it,
Also, it tastes
the,
pretty
the
good.
wife could go through Publix or wherever and pick up like a couple rotisserie chickens and then make some mac and cheese or something. I'm good. It's like, thank you, pilgrims, for coming over here and doing your thing. Let's eat some chicken.
I call those
I'd be fine.
I call those
So
chicken.
anyway, Hungar, that was a weird thing you added to the conversation that was actually beneficial to the conversation.
I call rotisserie chickens emotional support animals.
Yeah. or I should say interesting. that was a thing you added that was like, wow, that is an interesting thing.
You know, talk
I
about
did not know
Christianity.
that the Japanese were obsessed with KFC for Christmas.
They are. Also, here's another thing. Christianity almost became a dominant religion in Japan.
Well,
if Nobunaga didn't die, it probably would have been a much more prominent thing.
yeah, there's a lot of ifs there, though.
Yeah. It became
One of the big ones, as you said, is if Nobunaga had died. Except he did, though.
Yeah, he did. He got betrayed and killed. It's sad, but that's happened.
And then they went on a purge for a while.
Oh yeah, but you know, Nobunaga actually hated the Buddhist religion, and that's part of the reason why he was so accepting of the Christians.
Yeah.
He's like, hey.
Yeah, I guess from what they were saying on the show I was watching, it's like somehow Buddhism and Shintoism they like together. Basically integrate.
Yeah, Japan really integrated the Buddhism to their Shinto because they just saw it as more gods. Okay, they accepted that.
Right. It was because there's like thousands of kami according to Shintoism.
Yeah.
Basically, anyone or anything could have a kami in them, and a kami is basically a spirit.
Yeah. For Christianity, it was kind of different, although they almost tried to integrate that too, because whenever the Christians came in, they used the word kami because that's their word for God. So they were like, oh, it's just another God. We could just accept that. And it's like, but then whenever they rewrote the Bible and to differentiate it, they're like, oh, never mind. For a lot of them.
Well, I mean, there were a lot of ancient pagan religions that when they were introduced to Christ, they just chucked him right in the pantheon. Like for a long time, the Vikings had their original Norse gods, but Jesus was one of them. Like they just chucked him right in there. And it was like, you got Thor and Odin and freaking Balder and all this and Christ too. Why not?
Right.
Because a lot of them just had no concept of the idea of there being one God. And then having a priest trying to explain to a pagan the idea of the Trinity, the Trinitarian system, that's a hard thing. And that's why so many of the ancient German tribes become Arianism was their brand of, like the Saxons and the Franks and all those guys. Their particular flavor of Christianity was Arianism, which denies the Trinity. I mean, it says the Trinity exists, but that they're not one. So you see what I mean?
Yeah. Although here's another weird historical fact about Japan that's very interesting. At one point, whenever Matthew Perry went to open up Japan's borders to trade, that was around the same time of the Civil War, which means that at one point,
calm down. We know this one.
Abraham Lincoln could have sent a telegram to Japan to request help from the Japanese, and the Japanese could have sent samurai to help the North.
Maybe Jefferson Davis should have did that.
Maybe.
My favorite thing about Japan is the blessed Justio Takamaya Yukon.
Are you talking about when they climb up the giant penis?
No, it's a saint. It's a saint.
Oh, okay.
That is a samurai who converted to Christianity, and his statue is him with his sword.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
he
depending on if he's Orthodox, we have so many saints that are depicted with their weapons.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm pretty sure he was a Catholic saint, though, because Catholicism was a big thing in Japan. Nope. Did everything freeze?
Okay, the rest of the party killed the white. That means that the thief who got killed by the white is still going to rise as a white, even though the original white got killed. Because once they get killed by a white, they're coming back as a white, no matter what happens to the one that made them. But I get where you're coming from because, that's like the vampire thing, You get turned into a vampire. If you can kill the master vampire, you can. No, it don't work that way.
Nope, white. White. You're white now.
Yeah, you're white. And I think it takes like, I don't know, just a couple of days or something. It's pretty quick. A white turning you is pretty damn fast.
That's white power for you.
White power, which I think was an adventure or something by Zach Sadek. He did a book called White Power, spelled white. And people got mad. And it was like, get over yourself. It's a white. And that's not a random question. That's actually a really good question. Well, here's the thing. If he got reduced to 0, unless your DM is playing where PCs start at 0, then he's dead.
Yeah. He's still alive with 2 hit points.
Yeah, but he can't have 2 hit points if he's 0 level.
Yeah. If he's 0 level, he has no 2 hit points.
Now, if the DM rules that player characters can be 0 level, then now he's a 0 level character.
Yep.
And that sucks.
Better gain that experience
he
back.
Loses all of his class abilities and everything. He's just a random schmuck at that point. He might as well go, he can hang out with the other players and leech XP until he can get a class, I guess.
Yeah.
Better than death.
Which is much better than jumping up as a white. Yeah, for sure. I'm going to look in here and see how long it takes, or if they even have whites in this game. Pretty sure they do. I mean, they got Draugr, which is basically just a Scandinavian white. Yeah, you guys really messed me up. I'd sat in here listening to Stilly Dan and made the whole freaking everything you guys were going to run into on your way up north riding that Mastodon. And you okey doke the shit out of me. Yeah, selling to a tavern. Yeah, he's a 0 level human if the DM is even going to allow that.
That's of that stuff right there, bro.
And, and that's just if that's a rule your DM uses. Because some DMs do use in AD&D, there was like not house rules, optional rules to start characters at level 0.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then when they gained like 500 XP or some shit, they could actually pick.
You did that once and it was fucking stupid.
Well, I think it's in Unearthed Arcana. It was in one of those books, and we're like, yeah, here we go. I mean, DCC does it. That's the whole point of the first adventure. You play 4 0 level characters, and whoever survives is who you play for the rest of the campaign.
Get your pitchfork ready. We're going on a 0 level campaign.
Dude, it's worse than that. It's like when you roll for whatever your character did before they become a
adventure.
Yeah, it's like your character was a barber. Start with a pair of scissors. Your character was a farmer. Start with a shovel. And that's all you got. And then it's all like you wake up in a dungeon with just what you got, and you have to get out of the dungeon.
I'll take the shovel, please.
And so,
Let me be the farmer. I'll be the farmer.
My alarm's getting ready to go off, bro.
That's
my pizza's done.
Right.
Nice.
Love you. Yeah, Korean barbecue. Red Baron put out a Korean barbecue pizza.
That does sound pretty good.
Horrible.
Maybe I should try that.
Sounds horrible.
Oh.
I mean, I like Korean food, but no. Barbecue pizza is like stupid. It's almost
not barbecue sauce, it's Korean meat and spices.
No, it's bad.
Love you.
Look, it's better than putting pineapple on pizza.
Now, this, which works in a different system, because a white, when it touches you, it actually, you have to make a death save or you have to lose Constitution. 1 die 4 Constitution, and if you get drained to 0 con, you die, and in 1 die 6 turns, you come back as a white. Your Constitution will return if you survive that shit at a rate of 1 per day.
So if the guy hits 0, just drop him down a pit and
If
run
he hits
far
0,
away.
he's done. It says 0 or less. Yep. At 1 or 2, you're so withered and sickly you're unable to move or talk and can barely swallow soft food. Now, AD&D is even worse because it just straight up takes levels. This one's better, at least for the player character, because if your first level on a white hits you, it's not a guaranteed dead. It's more of a, you lose some con, and hopefully you got more than 4 freaking con, or why are you?
I gotta go. I'll see you.
Catch you, bro. Oh, Shoudark does the gauntlet. Yeah, in DCC, they call it the funnel, but it's basically you run a bunch of 0 level characters through a dungeon. Like a really good one is like People of the Undersea, whatever. And I own it. I'd have to look it up. I don't remember the name exactly, but it's a great funnel adventure. And it's funny when you see players like sacrifice one character to try to keep the other character alive because the one they want to keep alive is the better of the two, stat wise or whatever. And then if they survive that funnel, which usually only takes 1 night of gameplay, whichever characters are left, they get to pick one of them. It's interesting idea, and I've done it a few times. But not every player is really super interested in that. Like, you run into some players and they just want to play what they want to play, and they don't want to spend a night, trying not to get ate by a rat to just play the character they want to play. And so I see both sides of that. If the players are into it, like I always say about everything, though, if the players are into it, like in game, do it. If they have a style they want to play, if they want to be a bunch of murder hobos, let them. I know a lot of people talk bad about murder hobos, but honestly, if that's what they all at the table have fun doing, just do it. Unless you hate it. If you hate it as the DM, then you have the right to say, no, I'm not running that kind of game. Or to try to adjust stuff on the fly, right? OSE does level 0. I didn't know that. And I've ran OSE advanced a bunch of times. If the DM agrees that the character doesn't die at 0 level, he has to get hit 1 more time and be -1 level. That's the DM's choice. It is perfectly legitimate for him to do, but then that would mean your thief no longer even has a class. He's just, like I said, a 0 level schmuck, all withered up and looking like a punk. And also his hit points probably suck too. So no matter which way you look at it, the guy is either going to be dead in the white or alive and sucking. If I were the DM, though, he'd just be dead. And the reason is laziness. It's just easier to say, if the white hits you and you are reduced to 0 level, you're dead. It's just easier than trying to keep track of, the other thing. But like I said, I 100% support a DM's right to do whatever they want to do in their game. And if the players like it, then really there is no wrong answer to this. Right. I mean, that's my Dolmenwood is a very interesting, very fantasy, like fairy tale like setting. And I really do like OSC a lot. But primarily, I always tell people this, you guys have already heard it. The only reason to pick OSC over any other OSR is you really, really like how well laid out it is. Because OSC's layout and everything like that is immaculate. It is amazing. It's not necessarily mechanically a better game than, say, Dragon Slayer, which I own, because I like Gillespie and I bought the book. I'll probably never run it, but I did run Barrow Delve or Barrow Maze or whatever. Yeah. OSC's real standout thing, though, is it's just such a well-edited, put-together book. And it makes me wonder why it hasn't really become like the standard for every role-playing game since it came out. Like, if you can afford to, why are you putting a role-playing game out that's not laid out as good as OSC, at least? To me, that's like the bar. Now, a lot of people don't, and okay, they don't have to, but yeah, OSC is like the standard, not the standard. OSC is the gold ribbon of how to lay out a book and make it functional. Now, I run Hyperborea. OSC is way better laid out in Hyperborea, but I love the setting of Hyperborea. So there's the rub, right? I guess I could play Hyperborea with just the lore from the back of the book and the Atlas using OSC Advanced, but it just wouldn't feel like Hyperborea at that point, But yeah, if I were going to seriously try to redo the game I made, actually, I would be trying to make it as much like to get it as laid out and edited as much like OSC as I possibly could. Just everything on facing pages, the whole 9 yards. It's just yeah, like I said, it's like immaculate in the way they laid that thing out. And the game is just fun, but a lot of that is just that the Moldvay Cook edited versions of basic D&D are probably the best versions. I mean, sure, they were just editing notes from Gygax. That's fine, but the way they did it is really good. Now, some people are immediately going to say I'm wrong, and the best basic setting was Metzer. And I would say, yeah, you're not wrong. Metzer was really good too. I mean, I still like my old purple box and blue box, but on a purely mechanical level, like you could get the red Metzer box, and using the like solo adventure and stuff, you could know how to play D&D in an hour. Like proficiently, you could know how everything worked in that basic box. And that really was a boon to players back in the day. Because if you ever got like Blue Homes or the original basic set, it's like good freaking luck figuring out shit, because that it was like nothing was where you thought it should be. Things were not explained as well as they should have been. But I think we can all agree a big part of that was this was a brand new thing. And the people involved in the creation of it had never done anything like it. So, so how do you even like say anything about it? It's like they did the best that they could with zero anything that they could like lean on. Whereas the OSC guy, one, I would say, I've never heard him talk or anything, but I'd say he's got to be pretty much a genius. And two, he came out and put his book out at a time, decades after the original basics were done. So he had the advantage of seeing all these different versions and then realizing, no, this is how I'm going to do it. I think a lot of people, they put out an OSR type game and they don't like, I think it's okay to keep the rules that you like from the OSR games or that the inspiration for your OSR games, but that doesn't necessarily mean you should keep like the layouts and everything like that. Like you can make a basic edition styled OSR and change enough stuff about the layout and everything to make it at least stand on its own. And that's what OSE did. And then to opine more about OSE, the fact that they took the basic rules and then added rules to make them more like the advanced rules, but still feel like the basic rules, that was genius too. And when I run OSE, I even go so far as to get rid of the thief and whatever's percentile abilities. I do everything on a dice 6, which is an optional rule from the first, I believe, carrion crawler, where every thief starts with like 1 in 6 chance of everything, but they get a few discretionary points to spend, and then every level they get a couple more. So, I believe, and I could be wrong, one of you can correct me, that it is theoretically possible using those rules in OSE to start the game with a thief that has like a 5 in 6 chance of doing a thing, but then a 1 in 6 at doing every other thing. So, I mean, yeah, if you wanted to just be the greatest trap finder in the world, you can do it. You just can't actually do much else. So, now, one thing that Tolarian did with Hyperborea that's pretty wild is all of the thief abilities and other abilities like that are on a die 12. And I don't know if he did it because it makes more sense to him or if he was just looking at that poor die 12 and thinking, no one ever uses this die. So he just took like the die 6 system from, I don't know, Lamentations or something and just doubled it to a die 12, So instead of like a 2 in 6, you've got 4 and 12, Friday game is pretty packed. Had to cut back on Fridays, so now I'm just a part-timer. Yeah. Yeah, I know. I think Shadow runs or plays a Friday game. I mean, all of the guys I know are like running or playing in like 5 games, except for me. I run Hyperborea, and when I'm not running Hyperborea, if I'm feeling up to it, I let my wife whip my ass at Agricola. Though, to be fair, the last game we played was really close. So I am learning. I am getting a little better, but, in a lot of ways, my wife is just way smarter than I am. And in a lot of ways, she's not. It just depends on what we're talking about. She is definitely more. It's weird because my wife is definitely more of a logical thinker. She's more of a 1 leads to 2, 2 leads to 3, 3 leads to 4 thinker. And I tend to be a 1 can go to 5, depending on how I'm feeling at the moment. So, yeah, I'm more of a creative, I guess, whatever they call it. And she's way more logical. So we're the exact opposite of what people stereotype men and women to be, really. And she's cool-tempered until she hates your guts for the rest of your life and forever and will never forgive you. And I lose my temper super fast, and I get over it 5 minutes later. and then we could be friends again. See, that could be fun. Caves of Chaos, hell yeah, that could be a lot of fun. The DM just letting you play certain characters. Like, so basically you're kind of like the sub DM that makes tactical decisions for some monsters. That's great. And as far as the turnout for first edition, I think it's been like 4 or 5 years since I run first edition AD&D for my group, and I ran it for about a year. And they liked it. They had no problem. And that's back before I deleted a lot of the posts on my channel, a lot of the videos. But I can definitely restate this. AD&D is not as hard as some people think it is. And my reference for that is I was running AD&D when I was like 13. If I could figure out High Gygaxian and run campaigns between 13 and 20 or more, then anyone on the planet can. So yeah, when people complain about THAC0 and all that, I'm like, it's in the book. You don't even got to think about it. It's literally right there. You just write it down. You know, you can write the whole thing down, which for AD&D, sometimes you did because it got really wonky when you got to really low ACs. But or you could just adopt the house rule THAC0 system, which is in first edition AD&D 100%. Look in the back of the DMG. They even have THAC0 for all the monsters in the glossary. Then you could just use THAC0, and it's really easy. If my to hit armor class 0 is number, then to hit anything more positive that is less, and to hit anything negative of that is more. That's basic subtraction and addition. If you can't do basic subtraction or addition by the time you're 13, then your public school has failed you, and your parents have failed you, because they should have been whipping your ass and making sure you knew how to do that. So yeah, I mean, first edition, you can, I know at least here where I live in Orlando, I can always find people playing first edition to this day. And if I were to go to the local game store and be like, I'm going to start a first edition game on this night from this time to this time, and it's open, I could have a table full every freaking night that I wanted to do it. Because I don't know why. Because a lot of people like AD&D. I mean, AD&D is still, like I said, how OSC is the gold standard blue ribbon for formatting. Well, AD&D is still going to be kind of the gold standard for role-playing, fantasy role-playing. And even though there are a lot of rules in it that I don't necessarily like grappling comes to mind, all that shit can be house ruled right out, and you can run with it. Like what I did with AD&D is the rules I didn't like because of their over complexity, I just used the basic D&D rule. So instead of the weird initiative with segments and shit, threw that out and used the roll a dice 6 from basic, and then kept on rocking, man. Now, Hyperborea, which I'm not trying to sell anyone on, I think it's an awesome game, though. I think this is what an AD&D third edition would have looked like if Gygax had been involved. I mean, it does use descending armor class is better. It does use, I mean, actually, the guy who wrote this said he based it on OD&D, the white box, and then he just extrapolated from there. So when I'm playing this game, I really feel like I'm playing AD&D, just like somebody's. This is basically, I think, Jeffrey Talanian's house rules for how to play AD&D in a weird flat world infested with Cthulhu monsters. Pretty much. So yeah, Scott, one thing people talk about this game is like the subclasses. This game has some damn subclasses, let me tell you. Like, there's the 4 basic classes, and then there's like 4 or 5 subclasses. But the way to look at it is the subclasses are really just kits. So it's like AD&D second edition, or whenever they start adding like specialization classes or whatever. It's more like that. If you're playing a mage, you can play a mage and just be good at every kind of magic. Or you can play a cryomancer and specialize in like ice magic. At the end of the day, though, guys, I'm going to tell you this right now. Most of the time, I think the basic classes in this game are the better ones. There's a couple under the fighter that you have to roll really good to get. And if you roll good enough to get them, maybe you want to because they're just amazing. But at the end of the day, though, the fighter will level faster. So while it might not be as good at first level, it's going to out level the berserker or the barbarian. So, but the berserker and the barbarian get a bonus to every saving throw, which is huge. So there you go. And I'm glad somebody showed up and wanted to talk about gaming, because I'll ramble on about stuff. And, I'd much rather spend the 2 hours that I stream usually talking about games than like real life shit. Real life shit sucks. I don't want to talk about it, but I will if it gets brought up. That's the problem with me, is I have an opinion about everything and I will share it. But yeah. So I've rambled around for like 20 minutes. In closing, the thief should die and rise in 1d6 turns as a white. But if the DM says no, then that's his ruling and I'm wrong. Yep. That's how I handle that. 100%. That's just how it is. And that's what I always, when I had videos about how to run D&D, I always like to say point blank that my opinion is no better than anyone else's. And that when it comes to role-playing games, as long as the players are having a great time and you as the DM are having a good time, there's no wrong answer there. It's like, there's so many people and they'll have like flashy freaking like, pictures, and the title of their video will be like, how to do this the right way. And I've even done that in the past. They're deleted now, but role playing the right way used to be the name of the channel. And but I was talking about right as in far right, Christian fundamentalist. And I was making a joke out of it. But my actual, like, from my heart opinion is whatever you're doing at the table that your players like and you like, do that. Otherwise, I have no strong opinions about how anybody plays a role-playing game. You're interested in Hyperborea. It's a great game. If you like AD&D, as soon as you open up the Hyperborea books, you're going to be like, holy shit. You're going to be like, Jeffrey Talanian definitely was an AD&D nerd, because he did change stuff. Like I said, the thief abilities run on die 12s and stuff like that. But in his defense, he said he based it on OD&D, which was that like wood grain colored, little box. I always get confused because when people say LBB, some people think that that's for little basic box or something. And I'm always like, no, it's not. It's for little black box. And they're like, what do you mean little black box? I'm like, Traveler. It originally came in a little black box and it just said Traveler. That was it, with the red line. So when people start using LBB for D&D, I don't know when that started, but I'm again it. To quote the dwarves. Yeah, I'm again it. I don't know when it started, but I'm again it. 100%. That would be another thing too. That'd be like American Werewolf in London. the level 0 thief looks all effed up, but he's still alive, and then one day in the future, he just jumps out of the bed. Rah! Everybody's like, ah, you know. Yeah, that'd be something. That would be something. I know the last game I ran, my players were sweating it because they got attacked by a bunch of cannibals while they were asleep in their room, unarmored, without their weapons. And it turned into just a freaking throw down at the playground, man. They were just ducking and weaving and using various things around the room to hit things. And I mean, it was, I mean, yeah, that night's rest at the tavern got real quick. You know what I mean? People were just like, ah. Then after they beat them up and shined a light on them and saw that they all had ground their teeth into points, they're like, what's this? You know, I was like, yep. And that's the thing with Hyperborea. You, like I said, Coochie, you could play AD&D using Hyperborea. You absolutely could. But so you just have to get the actual setting info, which you could probably find from the website. But what Hyperborea is it's a conglomeration, not rules wise, setting wise, because to me, setting is like super important. It's a conglomeration of Lovecraft, Clark Ashton Smith, R.E. Howard, and then ran by a modified AD&D type system. And the setting is a flat hexagon that's like thousands of miles across, that's in orbit around Saturn. So if you follow the calendar in the book, there are some days and even years where you'll never see the sun, but you'll always see Saturn almost every day floating up there. So, you know, and the sun, when you do see it, is like large, but it's red and it doesn't radiate a lot of heat so much. And that's why the actual continent of Hyperborea, the center of it's just nothing but ice and tundra, and you know, and then you've got a lot of places in the setting that are named some very familiar names, like the Plateau of Ling, the Plains of Ling, Dunwich, Innsmouth. They're in the game, you know. And the other thing I'll tell you about, since you're a little interested, is all the players have to be human, but they can basically be any kind of human that ever existed on Earth at any time in the past. So my wife plays a Norse berserker who worships Thor. The bad guys trying to eat the party last game were Eskimo from Greenland that had got transported there at some point. It's almost like Ravenloft, where throughout different points in history, some of the old gods or whatever have either someone was running through a mist and ended up on Hyperborea, or went through a gate, or did a ritual, or maybe Yog-Sothoth or Nyarlathotep were just like, F you guys, go to Hyperborea, you know. And Hyperborea itself used to be part of Earth. It was the North Pole. And that's why there's no continent on the North Pole, but the Greeks swore up and down there were. Well, the Greeks were actually probably wrong. There probably was no continent on the North Pole. They made it up. But then Jeffrey Talanian ran with that shit and created this whole thing. So that's another thing. In style, it's very R.E. Howard. Very R.E. Howard. And that's another reason I love it, because it does have that kind of Conan feel to it, you know. Plus, I mean, Conan would have lived in the same universe as Hyperborea, which means Hyperborea is actually set in our reality, just like millions of years in the future, which is why the sun is red. Because it's that far in the future, our yellow star has actually become a red giant. But yeah, Lovecraft and all of that, they would have existed in the universe of this game. Which I guess means if a wizard had some way to summon somebody from the past, you could literally have a wizard summon R.E. Howard to Hyperborea. You know, I mean, one of the fighters in our group is a freaking Spartan. He's Greek from Lacedaemia. And his character runs around with a big hoplon with the lambda symbol on it. And he specialized in spear and falcata, and he wears his medium armor. We've got a Viking, an Amazon from Amazonia, a Celt, Hyperborean, and a Atlantean. And the weirdest of the bunch is the Atlantean because they actually have gills on their neck. You can't see them unless you really look, but they can breathe water. The Atlanteans can. And the Hyperboreans all look like Elric of Melno Benet. They're all like 7 foot tall and super pale with white hair and purple eyes, and they pretty much hate everyone else. Or maybe hate's a strong word. Maybe they don't hate them. They just think of them as subhumans. And so that is one thing. I've said this before on other streams about Hyperborea. If you've got players that have like weird ideas, like racism should never be in any role-playing game, they will not like Hyperborea. Because for the most part, the Celts absolutely hate the Norse. And the Norse are not fans of really too much of anybody. And there's even some Norsemen that the Norse hate. Because in Hyperborea, if you worship Odin, they consider you to be a traitor. And they throw you off of the Vikland, off their main island, and you have to live on a little shitty island that's hard to get away from. They tolerate people who worship Thor or Frey, but Odin, right out. The Celts, you can worship all the Hyperborean gods, or you could worship Nodens or Lu or whoever you want. I mean, one thing, I've been running this game for like months now. I'm still not sure how. Like, clerics get spells, and they are, 100% based on, religion, but I'm not sure that the deities are actually giving them the spells, or if it's just their faith in the deities gives them the spells. Because half of the damn deities a cleric can worship, like the one my brother Haas, Hungar's character worships, does not give a shit about anything, and it says it underneath the thing. Zastagua does not care about anything. So why would a god that doesn't care about anything ever grant anyone magic? Who knows? But it happens. And then a lot of the Greek gods are represented too. Ares and Apollo and all that. But you could throw any actual deity. Like there's a town or two, like a very small kingdom of Carolingian Franks. And it doesn't specifically say one way or another, but the Carolingian Franks, at least toward the end, were Christian. So you could 100% have a Christian cleric running around this weird freaking world. Now, would I do it? Probably not. Because, my group doesn't necessarily like mixing actual world religions into games so much, which is why I don't run Baptism of Fire. But you could, you absolutely could do that. There's Moors in the game, which means depending on when those Moors were sent there, they're either worshiping the 800 idols in the Kaaba or Allah, and run around worried about genies, which also exists, jinn. So as far as player characters, as long as they're human, they can pretty much be about anything, like the Eskimo, which is a conglomeration of Inuits and all that bunch under the title Eskimo. They're very powerful as a people. Like they run shit on like a fifth of the continent, to the point that they've almost wiped out the Siberian uh, Indians. So the Yakut and the Tlingits and all those guys, the Eskimo have pretty much wiped them out. They're in hiding, and they had to flee away from where the Eskimos were. So there's that. And then one part all of the AD&D players might love about the game, all the orcs are pig-faced. There are no goblins or hobgoblins, but there are orcs, and they are pig-faced. And they came about when devil swine or demon pigs, whatever they called them in basic D&D, seduced, charmed, whatever, Pictish women. And the offspring were pig-faced orcs. Shadow sent me the whole thing, and I looked at it, and I like it. So I have nothing bad to say about it. I like Hyperborea more, but Barrows and Borderlands is still super cool, and they share a lot of the same kind of stuff. Arduin, Barrows and Borderlands, and Hyperborea are basically cut from the same cloth. They're just different, like, patterns of that thing. That's my opinion on it. So if you don't want to spend the money to buy the Hyperborean books because they are expensive, and you can get the Barrows and Borderlands stuff cheaper or PDF, that's not a bad option if you just want to play in a D&D game, basically, except more weird, because that's really, guys, the strong point of all three of these games is they take D&D and they just make it weirder, not campy. Like in Hyperborea, you are not generally ever going to run into banana men or strawberry people or anything like really over the top like that. But you will run into weird shit that your player character may never, ever understand. And, so that's just how it is, Like if you encounter some really ancient Atlantean ruins and you go into them, you could find a laser pistol. Your character will never know what the hell it actually is. And if they're lucky, they may figure out how to use it, and it may be functional. But you as the DM and the player out of game will know it's a laser pistol. And they're very rare. They're almost like artifact level rare, but there's a lot of, basically the premise in Hyperborea is at one time Atlantis was super high tech. And then when it got destroyed and part of it ended up in Hyperborea, they lost all the technology. But what was still existing on the land that got transported over is still existing. So, the idea of finding an Atlantean ruin temple or something and going in it and looking around, I mean, God only knows what you could find in there. Because when Atlantis was destroyed and part of it transported, they were at like freaking space age levels of technology, like beyond whatever we can think of. We're talking quite possibly power armor kind of shit. But again, it's super rare, and your players may never figure out how it works. And if they do figure out how it works, they may never figure out that it runs on certain batteries, etc. Jamie does not like me. I'm sorry. Sometimes I don't like me either, Jamie, but it's okay. We keep moving on, right? But so yeah, there's that kind of weirdness to it where, like, one of the adventures I have, it's put up, the players actually go to like starts with the Lemurian, the bits of Lemuria that got transported to Hyperborea when Lemuria got destroyed. And there's like ancient temples and dinosaurs, and it's all jungle. And if you go through these temples, you might find some really weird stuff. So that makes the game, in my opinion, just very interesting. Very interesting. And that's why I run it. So, you know. But yeah, the rules are if you like AD&D, then you'll like Hyperborea. It's the same damn thing. But anyway, so what time have we got? Well, I've got a couple minutes. I don't like you. Wait with God. You know what I say? Takes all kinds. Takes all kinds. I didn't want to, but I had to buy some Baltec figures recently, guys. They finally released like the Oscout and the Ostall, and I'm sorry, I'm weak. I know a lot of people are going to be like, you shouldn't buy that crap from that company. They're a bunch of assholes. And I'd be like, I agree, they are. They're a bunch of assholes. But I just really, really, really wanted the new sculpt of the Ostall. It's one of the coolest mechs from like 3025. So there's my confessional, guys. I hope you can forgive me for that. And the reason I said that is I just picked this bad boy up and was looking at him. And, you know, these were all bought from way before everybody said that they were a bunch of assholes. So I don't feel bad about owning them. But, of course, this guy will show off. I love this little guy. My little canary yellow urban mech, ready to do stuff. Jamie. I got a cousin in Kentucky named Jamie. I got a niece in the frozen north named Jamie. That's a common name, I guess. I got a box over here full of miniatures I don't like that I'm sending to Blackened Iron Skillet or whatever. I always F names up like that. One thing he's never going to get, though, is my wonderful Power Girl mini. Nope. I will keep Power Girl with me forever. But there's a lot of miniatures in here that I'm like, who cares? So those ones I will like. I went on a thing where I put together like an army of these original Cylons. So yeah, I'll be getting rid of those. Not because I don't love them, but because I'm not going to do anything with them. And hopefully he can. And then if he can't, then hopefully he can give them away or do something with them so that someone else can see. Look at this. I've got these Space Nom miniatures I put together like years ago. Still not even any paint on them. That's how I know I need to get rid of something. If I've had it for like 5 years and I haven't even put primer on it, I need to get rid of it. There's literally no reason to own it. So, storming again. Maybe I'll throw a couple of these in there just for the fun of it. These are the Gartham, I think, or whatever from the Dark Crystal. I've got a bunch of them. I want to keep a couple of them because they would make interesting, like made just monsters I make up for Hyperborea, you know, just like say the players are wandering through a swamp or something and they get attacked by these, and they'll know what they are like in a way, but then they won't, you know. They'll be like, okay, it's a Gartham, but is it? We don't know. We got a Russian guy here with a Val 9mm suppressed rifle. Yeah, I'll put that in there. Hopefully it don't break. Doot, 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 doot. We got a bunch of guns for like spaceships. I'll keep those because one thing I'm never getting rid of is my Battlefleet Gothic stuff. But I will take the crappy guns that came with it off and put better, more detailed, better ass looking guns on.
Hey, Sir James, how you doing? Long time no see. I never catch you lately.
I haven't actually streamed in a couple of days. Been
So
busy.
what's going on with you?
Right now, the only really fun stuff has been playing Agricola with the wife, even though she keeps beating me. It's like when I was playing Splendor with her, except we had a rule: whoever won could pick the next game. So she picked this game, and she just kicks my ass at it too. So,
You've locked yourself in a death spiral.
yeah, I'm just in a
Board
death
games.
spiral of loseriness. So for fun, yeah, I've been playing board games with the wife and running Hyperborea. But I went through this whole phase where I was just so busy with stuff around the house
Yeah,
that I wasn't, because you know how I was streaming like every day.
yeah.
And it's not that I don't like to, it's just I got hung up with. I mean, I was on a ladder last night replacing freaking light bulbs and doing all kinds of shit. So basically, the honeydew list caught up with me a little bit.
Now, how's the weather down by you? We had another ridiculously chilly, rainy day.
It has just been freaking torrential downpour off and on all day.
Yeah, same here.
It's like, you look out and not sunny ever.
Oh yeah, it was gross as shit today.
It's either just gray and muggy or coming down so hard it's like sheets. So, which part of me loves because this is the time of year where everybody's lawn is brown. Tom, ground control to Major Tom. Yeah, I'm sorry. That's where my mind goes when I see the name.
Oh, I put it back. So you bought new Catalyst stuff, did you?
Oh, you heard me.
Bad, James.
I know, but I have to because
No, I gotta say,
Nostal.
the Catalyst mechs are beautiful.
Right. I mean, I could still say they're assholes, but yeah, I picked up 2 boxes of the Pursuit Lance or whatever that comes with the Ostal and the Scorpion or Spider or whatever it is, and the Merlin. One, because I do have those mechs, but they're metal.
Yeah.
And I don't have many of them. And 2, the newer mechs are like, instead of 6 mil, they're 8 mil.
Yeah.
And they just look better. So what am I going to do? That will always be one of my favorite games ever. So they really got me by the balls.
Yeah, they do.
Here,
There's a couple of people on eBay that print them up.
Right.
I bought a couple sets from those guys. Although you got to buy a lot for it to be worth it.
I don't know if you recognize that.
Oh yeah, it's the monkey guy from Star Frontiers.
Yeah, the Yazarian. I have I'm sad to say that I have tons of miniatures for that game. It's like there's an actual company. It used to be Ganesha Games, but now it's like Badger Games, and they sell Star Frontiers miniatures. So
that's the cool thing about so many people having their own printers now is that people can just like do up the files for whatever obscure, goofy fucking thing, like catch their fancy, and it's out there.
Yeah, these bad boys are metal.
Oh, are they? Oh, wow.
Yeah, so someone actually carved masters and then printed.
Can you get metal printers yet, or is that like not on the market?
Boy, they are expensive. Got Tornado watching VA. Okay, up in Virginia. Yeah, that sucks. That's one thing I love about living in where I do in Kentucky when I'm up there is I never have to worry about tornadoes. Because tornadoes and mountains don't mix.
Yeah, you need a lot of flat open space.
I
for
guess
that.
if you lived in the valleys, you'd have to be watching out for it. But
I remember when I did when I was at Fort Sill, we'd get like all dragged every now and then in the middle of the night into the like gymnasiums because the sirens would go off.
hell yeah, man. That whole region, you know, Oklahoma and all
Yeah,
that.
that place gets hammered by them every year.
Yeah, it's just
It's just one of those things you live with there.
kind of like down here. We live with hurricanes. It's like, you know, if you're gonna freak out every time that the weather people say a hurricane's coming, you ain't gonna make it.
Yeah.
You know? Like, it's got to be really bad before Floridians are like, oh shit, we better do something. Otherwise, most people I know, hurricane comes, they just drink.
What's really nasty are water spouts when you get those ocean-borne tornadoes. Because it thought it was bad when it was just air.
Yeah, you don't want to be out. You don't want to be out for that. That'll.
Yeah, I've seen pictures of them because they die almost immediately if they hit landfall because they just don't have the energy to maintain it. But if they hit a building before they do, it just explodes.
Can you imagine being out on a boat and
I imagine it would cut you in half.
one of those things drifts up to you, boy? You'd be freaking wrecked. Have you ever seen the TV show? What's it called? The Bad Boys or whatever with the superheroes?
I've seen an episode or two. I almost never watched.
You probably
TV.
wouldn't recognize this guy.
Is that Homelander?
No, that's Soldier Boy.
Oh, okay.
I had to get the miniature because I'm a fan of the guy who played him, Ackles. Because I loved the first 5 seasons of Supernatural, like a lot. And
Who did he play on Supernatural? I've seen that a couple
he
times.
was the little brother, not the younger, but the littler.
Oh, okay,
But the bigger guy was played by Padalecki or something was his name. They called him Moose because he's like 6.5 feet tall.
Yeah. That show was on forever, wasn't
and
there?
then
Like
Dean
seasons of that.
Yeah, but all the seasons after 5, for the most part, suck. There might be a decent episode here or there, but I mean, that's my opinion. Some people might love it, the newer seasons, but my problem with Supernatural is I liked it when it came out, and it was kind of like a Monster of the Week show. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like the show would come on, they'd find a monster that was doing some shit, and then they'd do some stuff to stop the monster, and then the show would go off until the next time.
Yeah, I remember they killed Jewel Daly in a show. That was so sad. She was a monster.
Yeah.
Of some sort. She turned into some beast or something, so they had to kill her.
There was the one where the one guy, one of the brothers, fell in love with this chick, and it turned out she was a werewolf. And he had to put her down, and it was really sad. And there's one where I think it was the blonde chick from like Battlestar Galactica, but not. I think it was the Cylon.
Oh, okay.
And she was like the lady in white that kept walking down the highway and getting into people's cars or whatever, but she was dead. And then there was this other ghost that was in that episode, and they had to. There's a lot of shit they had to deal with in that one, let me tell you. But it was pretty good. You know.
That was one of those shows where they went out of their way to like throw work at like old like sci-fi and like fantasy people that like hadn't worked in forever. Babylon 5 was like that too.
It was. There's even an episode in a later season, so I don't really care for it, but it's there, and it's got what's her name from the Guild in it. That one redheaded girl that was everywhere for a little while before everyone got sick of her.
Yeah, that was that little like 15-minute like web show.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember seeing the first couple of those. Did you
Yeah.
ever see? It was on Hulu for a while. It disappeared, and they only did one season. And it was just getting really interesting. The Booth on the Corner.
The what?
It was called The Booth in the Corner.
No, I've
It
never
was an
seen that.
interesting show. The guy who was, oh God, he's a character actor. I'm blanking on stuff he's in, but he's in everything. He's in those Allstate commercial or those farm commercials. The bald guy.
Yeah, that guy's in everything.
Yeah, it was this show. They were 15-minute shows, and they're all. It was like a one camera in one spot show, and the premise of this guy, and people would just find out about him and come seek him out, and they'd want something to happen, and it could be anything. And he would look in this book, and he would give you, okay, you have to do this, and he'd give you a task, and it would be something like ongoing or with steps, and you'd have to come back periodically, and he'd have to interview you about like how you were feeling about it, and he'd write it in the book. And like this one woman, her husband had Alzheimer's, and a lot of times it was just innocuous, weird things, and sometimes it was like horrifying things. Like this woman whose husband had Alzheimer's, she had to make a bomb and blow up some like medical clinic, and it was just like, and they never really said what was behind it. It was just, and it was really, really strange.
Well, like, was he a crossroads demon, like making deals with people, or what?
They never say because he like discusses with this woman who's apparently like a counterpart to him, who's a waitress there, who's watching him to keep an eye on him, and they just say it's like there's some multiple group of beings. They never say if it's aliens or demons or whatever that are like ultimately behind it, and it's like they're apparently completely morally neutral. This is some kind of like experiment.
Hey.
And a lot of times he'd put people at like cross purposes, like they'd have to do things that would interfere.
It's indifference.
It was an interesting show, but it died after a season, and it was sad because it was getting really interesting.
Because at least evil people you can try and figure out a motive for, but indifferent people.
Yeah, it was kind of like they were curious, like what people would do.
Yeah, it took me forever to figure out that Jonah Jameson or whatever in the Spider-Man movies was that dude.
Yeah.
Like the meme where he's so like, with hair. I mean, he also is in John Wick 1 for like 5 minutes. When John Wick kills everybody, and then he calls the cleanup team to come in, and they come in with like the plastic sheets. He's one of them. Yeah. I mean, that dude is everywhere. He's in everything. Which I mean, I think he's a good actor, so I'm not complaining.
Oh yeah, he's really good. I've never seen him really star in anything else except that one thing.
I think he starred in a movie with Sarandon or whatever, where they had like a gate in their outhouse or shed or something that they could see into another reality or something. Yeah. It was a weird show, and I think he was.
Yeah, he was the father in Juno. He's one of those people who's kind of like steals whatever he's in.
Yeah, we know a lot, we know a lot because we've seen a lot. That's his we are farmers. Da, 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 da. But the one dude who played, he plays the guy that runs around breaking everything in the insurance commercial.
Oh, the mayhem guy. Yeah, he was.
Yeah, he was in John Wick.
Yeah, you saw him like when those.
He was the Russian guy's concierge.
Oh yeah. He was good. He was in a lot of stuff.
He's played an absolutely horrible person in the Oz show. Did he? Wow. I've never watched the Oz show, but I've heard it's pretty hardcore. And yes, J.K. Simmons, that guy can play anything. He's just one of those guys. But for whatever reason, he never went over the top to leading man status. But apparently he's okay cashing whatever movie checks he cashes,
he works all the time. He's always doing something.
Yeah, he's always working. So Good for him. But so yeah, I'm excited about getting some Ostals and Oscouts and whatever. And the game's going good, even though, me and Shadow were debating like the nature of evil because my brother's cleric tied a cannibal to a chair and started dancing around him, humming, and then cut his ear off. Which, of course, is my brother trying to be a callback to Reservoir Dogs. And then I looked up his alignment, which is neutral, and I was like, he actually technically could do that. Because in Hyperborea, neutral don't mean neutral. It means you only care about yourself. So you're kind of a sociopath anyway, right? I knew as soon as he said he was tying that cannibal to the chair, I was like, here it comes. I didn't say anything, but I was like, I know my brother. I was just like, here we go. It was an interesting game. The rest of the group, when they ran up to the room and saw it, they just stood there in terror for like a couple rounds. And they're talking about, I think we might need another cleric. That guy's a little out of here.
Oh, used the cleric doing that.
Yeah. Well, in Hyperborea, unlike a lot of other Heartbreaker type D&D games, clerics are absolute badasses. Like the basic Hyperborean cleric can almost stand toe to toe with a fighter all day.
Yeah. Clerics, even in D&D, were pretty badass.
They're probably the best class in D&D. I mean, the only class, because think about it, the class that turns into a real powerhouse at high level, the mage. But if you got the same level cleric, he's doing fire strikes and freaking summoning gods and shit.
And he can almost go toe to toe with the fighter. He's like the next best fighter.
And then, he's got the heavy armor and he's got the shield and the weapons and the All-State guy, okay, Manowar and Coco both pointing out that the Mayhem guy was in Oz as well. It sounds like it was a freaking star-packed movie. You know what movie had so many more stars in it than I ever thought of? Platoon.
It did, yeah. And a lot of them were like just starting out.
There were so many guys that went on to be like.
Yeah, Johnny Depp apparently had a lot more stuff in Platoon. They took him out specifically because Oliver Stone felt the movie was like becoming about him.
Right.
Because he was the one who could like speak Vietnamese and he had this like whole elaborate backstory where he had grown up there.
Right.
And
it's pretty interesting. There's a lot of guys there, but and what's his name was in it too, which Bear said the guy was an asshole. Forrest Whitaker.
Oh, that's sad.
I think that's who Bear said was an asshole, Forrest Whitaker. But he was in it. But I've got my newly primered, but very old at this point, Zeus, which is a favorite for Lyran Commonwealth guys. I'm probably going to paint him up in some kind of camouflage pattern. I'm thinking
Zeus is a good mech.
Huh?
Zeus is a good mech.
It's a pretty good mech. I'm thinking about a Eastern Front ambush pattern to really lean into the fact that the Lyrans are kind of German. So paint it up like a German Stug or something from World War II.
The Cyclops is another one that's kind of underappreciated as for assault mechs. The Cyclops is good. I like the Cyclops too.
It's a big mech with a big gun. Don't let it get close. And if it kicks you, you're going to take a freaking billion damage. But it's got that AC-20 on the torso. It's got a bunch of other shit in there. Yeah, you don't want to mess with that. You want to stay as far away from that as you can. The thing with the Zeus is it's kind of a assault sniper. The PPC and the LRMs, you can kind of hang back. But I would say the big problem with it is most games I would take an Awesome over Zeus. The Zeus is faster though. So if it's a game where you you're intending to maneuver a lot, you'd rather have the Zeus.
The,
But
the
if you're just
awesome,
talking about sustained firepower, the Awesome's going to do
yeah,
it.
the awesome is just it's one of the best mechs, but somehow it's kind of boring to me.
Right. Because you
It's
stick it
kinda-
somewhere where it can see
yeah.
a lot of things, and then you just start cycling PPCs. And you're like, well, there you go. That's what I'm going to do. They do have one version that drops a PPC and adds like an LRM 15 for some reason. Because I think the LRM 15 does about the same heat as the freaking PPC does. So it's like you didn't save any heat. I'm not sure why you did that. And you added ammo to a mech that could conceivably get hot enough to blow itself up. But on the other hand, if you've got a spotter,
Yeah, then
you can just hang out and launch LRMs all day. But well, I assume, Coco, anyone in Oz, which is like what, a maximum security prison, was probably not a good guy. They're probably all kind of bad, you know? I mean, they don't send a lot of good guys to those kind of prisons. I mean, think about like American History X. In the end, you start thinking maybe he's going to be okay. But the reality is he was not a good guy.
yeah.
You know, I mean, you kind of hope he might become a good guy at some point, but he definitely was not actually a good guy. Really. Nobody in that movie was a good guy. I've seen that movie exactly one time. That is enough.
Yeah, it's one of those movies that like takes it
out.
out of you, and then you're like, it was a good movie, but it's like it takes it out of you when you watch it. You're like, yeah, not again.
There's a few movies that are like that. It's like I would recommend. I can't think of it offhand. I'm sure I will later when I get done streaming. But there's a few movies that are like I would recommend everyone watch once, and then after that, it's like, no, you that'll be enough. You know? Once you see it, you'll be like Schindler's List.
Yeah.
You can watch that like one time, and then if you watch it too much more than one time, you get suspect. All of a sudden, it's like, wait a minute. Are you rooting for that dude upstairs with the rifle? I mean, what's going on with you, bro? You know? Now, there's a really long movie I watch a lot, and that's L.A. Confidential.
That was a good movie. That's a good flick.
And you want to talk about it? I know Kevin Spacey's a douchebag, but I can't help it. He is so good in that movie.
But he's an amazing actor. You can't take that from him. He's just a disgusting.
He's
piece
just a
of shit.
scumbag. But then again, that's Hollywood. That's everyone in Hollywood.
Yeah.
We're like the only culture to ever exist where actors were considered respectable. And like almost every other culture before us, actors were considered to be the absolute scumbags of society. But so we flipped it upside down.
So we didn't have royalty, but there's that impulse to treat and have people that you treat like that.
Back in the truck. Well, you gotta do what you gotta do, Coochie. Gotta do what you gotta do, bro. I mean, he probably brought home like Briars, and she's like, I want Bluebell. What the? I want all this corn syrup and shit in my ice cream, which I don't blame her. I try to avoid corn syrup in everything I can. If possible, I avoid it. But, yeah, man. So anyway, there for a minute, we were talking about, this was an interesting question that I think Coochie brought up. A first level thief gets hit by a white, becomes 0 level and has 2 hit points, or just dies. I ruled he'd die. But some games of AD&D, they allow 0 level characters. So does he just stop being a thief and become like this 0 level douchebag just standing around with his 2 hit points? And then we were talking about Coochie is saying, yeah, take him into town and sell him to the tavern. He can work in a stable or something, right? There you go, man. Which I like the way whites work in Hyperborea better. Every time they hit you, they just reduce your con. And when your con hits 0, you die and become a white.
Yeah, that's
So
good.
there's no level loss.
Yeah.
But they get like 2 attacks, and each attack can drain 1 die 4 constitution. And it takes a full day of complete rest to get 1 back. So I mean, it can go bad for you pretty quick. But they got rid of the level drain. Like a lot of more modern
Yeah.
games got
Move
rid of the
away
level
from it.
drain. Ah, hey, I'll tell you what, for some people, texture is more important than taste. Just depends. I know my dad could never eat mushrooms, but my wife could make her meatloaf, which is loaded with cream of mushroom soup, and he loves it, but he cannot handle the texture of a mushroom, which to me is weird. The only thing I've ever ate that the texture really put me off was umi, I think.
What is umi?
Some
Some
those little
evil East.
spiky round things on the bottom of the ocean. Sea urchin.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I had some of that at a Japanese restaurant, and I was like, no, never again. That's just not going to happen.
I can't do mussels, but that's a smell thing for me.
If they're cooked like in a vodka sauce with pasta, no problem. But I do not eat raw oyster though, for sure. Clam though, like a good chowder, I get a good chowder. I can eat a good chowder, but yeah, I draw the line at like raw glob of mucoid looking stuff. I'm like, nah, sorry, no. And I know people that will eat those things by the freaking bushel.
Mhm.
My best friend, before he passed, we would go to this place, and I swear to God, that guy would eat like 30 plus oysters because they serve them like by the dozen on an iced plate, already open for you. He'd put a little Tabasco sauce on that thing, and he'd just knock them back, and I'd just be like, yeah, I'm eating a hamburger over here. You know? No, but you know, people like what they like, I guess. But no way. I don't care how cold you make them. I am not slurping any of that down. But yeah, so that was the thing I was saying. I was like, well, I guess and then he come up with the idea, which I liken to like American Werewolf in London. Let it seem like he lived, but then like days later have him turn into a white. Like, you know, it's the middle of the night, they're in a tavern, and all of a sudden this guy just goes buck wild, starts running around, rah, rah. Be like, well, And then that reminded me of the story of the group of adventurers in my game getting attacked by a mob of cannibals, which led up to one of them being tied to a chair and getting the Reservoir Dogs treatment. They're a bunch of Eskimos, except these particular Eskimos, they worship Yog, which is from Conan too, the god of beasts and cannibalism. And so they file their teeth in the points and shit.
Oh yeah. I can't remember the name of that story. The one where the hotel, like
that's exactly how it
yeah.
happened in my game. These guys snuck in through a secret door into their hotel room while they were asleep, and was going to tie them up. Except the scout woke up at the last minute and started screaming his head off, which turned into a surprise round for the cannibals. And the group managed to not all get tied up, and then it turned into a fist fight. Either Coochie, but I prefer New England. However,
Yeah.
a lot of people will be like, whatever, but I don't mind tomato-based chowder.
Yeah, I only like the New England myself.
Yeah, but then again, I've been known to, on rare occasion, drink Clamato,
Ooh. Ooh.
but usually only when I'm at a Vampire LARP game. Put it in a chalice and walk around, like on South Park, where they had, you must drink this blood, and it's really just Clamato. Poor,
We're
poor
not
Butters.
vampires. We're goths.
Yeah. We're gosh, we hate those vampire kids. They go and burn down the hot topic. Hyperborea is a Conan setting. Hyperborea, the setting is heavily. Yes. Because Hyborea happens after Hyperborea. So, yes, all of like Crom is in Hyperborea. They call him Krimmer, but it's Crom. When you read, he's God that grants you your strength at birth and then basically tells you to F off. And he's worshipped by a group of people called the Cimmerians, who were in actuality a group of people that lived on the Ukraine Russian steppes like thousands of years ago. Just like the Krugen from Highlander, that tribe really exists, and there's an oblast in Russia named for them. Because they really did exist, and they left barrows all over Russia where they buried their chiefs, the Kurgan, I mean.
Right.
And in Russia, I believe the oblast is Kyrgyzstan. But it's them. And apparently at one time they were around so much that they were all the way up into like Poland and all over the damn
Yeah,
place.
every culture that came out of the steppe were just like raging murder assholes.
That's one thing they say about the Kurgan is their entire culture was based around being as cruel as possible to everyone around you. So like if you got born into that tribe, that didn't mean your dad was going to be nice. He was probably going to be the first one to whip your ass on your way to a whole lifetime of just getting mistreated until you're such a vicious bastard. Like, can you imagine these guys were wandering around? They probably had like PTSD and every other thing, like to the moon, right? And armor and weapons. And they're just riding around all just jacked up.
Yeah, I've heard actually novelization. I've looked for copies of it. They're always really expensive. The novelization of Highlander is supposed to be really good because there's like a whole shitload about the Kurgan in it.
Yeah, they even found Kurgan mounds in, like I said, Poland and Belarus and places like that. So they're like the Pechenegs and the Huns and shit. They got around. And I don't know if they were a Turkic people or Slavic people or whatever they were. But eventually they pissed enough people off that they got smacked down and ended up living in this mountain valley, hiding from everyone else. It's like at some point, the rest of the tribes are like, that's not about being up to your shit. But yeah, they would build barrows and they would bury their chiefs in them. And they were known to just be real dicks. Like, now, I was reading some stuff the other day where apparently some of the old Russian kings were saying that the Tartars were cannibals. And that was one of the reasons the Tartar people who were always running around killing everybody on the steppes were super feared because they would sometimes eat the people they killed.
Fun.
Yeah, so eventually, when Russia became an empire, it had to put the curb stomp on that shit too.
Yes, this is a bad look, boys.
And now I guess there's a country called Tatarstan or something. Because a lot of those Central Asian steppe people become stands.
But they're remembered now mainly for their fine fish sauce.
Right. But at one time they hunted down merchants and quite possibly ate them. The audiobooks, they have a lot of stuff. Tartaria, yeah. I mean, if you watch the 13th Warrior, there's that whole scene where they look up and they see the dust cloud and they freak the fuck out because they're like, the Tartars are coming, the Tartars are coming. They just take off running. And then they find the Viking camp, and the Tartars ride up to the cliff and look down and see the Vikings, and they go away. Because the Tartars are like, well, we were going to kill that band of merchants, but we're not going down there messing with those Vikings, though. And they wandered on, but
all the Conan books are on and multiple different people reading them. The Cimmerian is my favorite. They do a lot of stuff like that. Most of the El Borat stories are on there too now. Those are really good.
I have the whole collection on my Audible, but I end up listening to stories on YouTube more.
Yeah, I download MP3s off YouTube and like listen to them at work. And I listen to a lot of audio books.
Yeah. See, I the thing with me is my beloved brother bought me an Audible account that he pays for. And I check it about once every 6 months or so. And I'm always like, damn, I've got like 18 tokens or something. So then I get everything. And then rarely do I even, but I have the complete H.P. Lovecraft collection, the R.E. Howard collection. I've started getting the Clark Ashton Smith stuff, which you can just listen to on YouTube. It's like a 4-hour long thing, but it's the complete Clark Ashton Smith Hyperborea collection of stories. And it's like I said, the reason I like Hyperborea, it's fucking weird. It's like fantastical and set in like a Conan world, but it's weird. Like, apparently in some parts of the really, really frozen north, the ice is like conscious a little bit.
Oh, freaky.
And it hates you. And like this guy goes into a cave and things do not work out. Let's just say that. And yeah.
In fact, I'm going to do that for tomorrow. I'm going to download that. Clark
and there's
Ashton.
a giant worm that wanders around on a freaking giant glacial like iceberg, and it's only interested in wizards, and there's all kinds of weird shit that happens there. And then at one point there's this one guy that worships a god and the other guy worships another god, so they hate each other. So the first guy gets chased and eventually goes through a portal and ends up on Saturn. And then shenanigans happen there too, because it turns out you can live on Saturn somehow. So, but yeah, that's like I was saying earlier, Coochie, or whoever it was that said Hyperborea. Yeah, Coochie. What the guy who made Hyperborea did is he was heavily influenced by the three main guys, I would say, from pulp stories. So yes, there's a lot of R.E. Howard in there. There's a lot of H.P. Lovecraft in there. And then there's a lot of Clark Ashton Smith in there. The Thing. That's horrible. I love that movie. I'm still, even though people have told me, I'm still not sure who was the Thing at the end. I've heard some really good theories as to why it's, what's his name? The white guy, not the black guy. And I've heard theories about why it's the black guy. But I've never actually heard anything that made me think, yeah, that's right. I've always been like, but maybe it's not, though. You know? It's like, that movie, man, it grabs you, don't it? But yeah, so Mountains of Madness, yeah, it's a good one. One of his longest ones. One of my favorite short tales, Coochie, is called Rats in the Walls.
Yeah, that's a really creepy one.
That is pretty good. And I'll be honest, most H.P. Lovecraft does not scare me, but it does make me think, and it is kind of unnerving in a way, kind of creepy. Like,
yeah, it's meant to be disturbing more than frightening.
Yeah, Exactly. It's not like some of these books you read that you're actually like, like really terrified. Um, it's more like existential, like doubt and shit if you let it get in your head. Because, like, the thing with H.P. Lovecraft that sets him apart is most of the things that could kill you in his stories don't even care.
Yeah, it's irrelevant.
You are irrelevant to them. If you happen to die, it's like, they don't care. And that's what has people like, that's why he holds up even to this day, was his, I don't know if you would call it like, it's not narcissism. It's the one where you believe everything's just going to die and be horrible. And
nihilism.
yeah, I don't know if it's nihilism or what with H.P. Lovecraft. I mean, I know he had some issues, but yeah, most of his stories are just like, they make you really think about things. There you are. Has a quick bounce. Yeah, they make you think about things. That's his thing. Whereas R.E. Howard is the absolute master of describing the gore and whatever of a sword fight. No one does that better than R.E. Howard. No. To use a fancy word, the visceral nature of somebody splitting someone's skull in with an axe.
Yeah.
R.E. Howard's just great at describing that. And then Clark Ashton Smith, he's just weird. He just writes some really strange shit. And he almost wasn't even going to write his stories, but he talked to H.P. Lovecraft, who convinced him to actually publish his stories on Hyperborea. Because at first he's like, no one's going to want these. And H.P. Lovecraft is like, well, try. But the three of these guys talked. That's the thing a lot of people don't seem to understand. So when I talk about how Lovecraft, and Howard and Smith and Derleth and all this, right? They were part of this gigantic, like, pen pal collection of writers who were constantly exchanging ideas back and forth. So Conan exists in the same universe as Cthulhu. And Cthulhu exists in the same world as the Sagwa, who was created by Clark Ashton Smith. So everything these guys wrote exists in the same damn world as everything the other guys wrote. So in theory, you could play a game of Call of Cthulhu, the role-playing game, and have a character find the ring of power that Thulsa Doom wore when he was battling Kull the Conqueror. And as a matter of fact, that did in fact happen in a story. And so that's how interrelated those three writers really are. Anything in one of their stories can instantly be dropped into any other writer's stories. So, which I think is really cool that they were that way. And that's what when I was talking to Shadow, because Shadow is a R.E. Howard purist.
Yeah,
but
very much so.
I was trying to explain to him that Conan existed in a shared universe. And if R.E. Howard were sitting here with me right now, he would say that anything Lovecraft wrote about the Hyborian Age was just as if he had. Now, Conan specifically, that's a little different. But the actual setting was a free-for-all. Like you yourself right now, if you wanted to, Doc, you could write a story about blonde-haired guy from Azer or Vanderland adventuring around the Hyborian Age, going through all the kingdoms and everything, and it'd be just fine.
Yeah, that's something I've actually always kind of wanted to do, is write. It's not involving Conan, but just something in that setting.
It could be in that setting. It just, you can't mess with Conan. Because, that's why when the French comic book company did their thing, they never say Conan. They say the Cimmerian. But it's Conan. It's freaking Conan. But they call him the Cimmerian, which I have them all. They're really good. And because you can't copyright Cimmerian since they were an actual historical people that existed in the steppes of Russia and all that. So yeah. Now in Hyperborea, the Sumerians are the degraded remnants of the Atlanteans. So Conan was related to Cole, or could have been.
Yeah, it's like implied that he was a descendant, but he never actually says.
One of H.P. Lovecraft's characters could have been distantly related to Conan. So, yeah.
Yeah, I need to go, dude. I got to lay down. I didn't sleep last night, but I wanted to catch you while you were on.
Well, I was only being on because you were on. So we will say good night or good day.
Catch
Good
you
day,
later, man.
sir. I said
good day. Later.
Later. And Coochie, thank you for dropping in. Coco, all of you guys. Yeah, you can play an Azer because you can't copyright Azer. That's part of Norse mythology, right? You can't copyright Sumerian or Samaria or any of that. They all existed. But the actual, you could even write about a guy named Conan, but it can't be Conan. You could say he's a skinny redheaded guy that grew up somewhere and blah, blah, blah. But yeah, it can't be the Conan, But anyway, if you're going to make a skinny redhead Conan, you got to make him really freaking tall. And then he can be Conan O'Brien. But anyway, I'm going to get off of here and I will catch you guys later. I'll see you next time I stream. Maybe tomorrow, maybe the next day. We'll see.